I'm Melissa Potente. I run a commercial and residential building company, but I'm also really passionate about property investment. So we own a portfolio of properties, and I also help coach others now that want to get into investing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for giving me some of your time today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I know you are very busy. I like to start a little bit by getting some background on my guests.
Sure.
So, where did you start? What was your first kind of step on the employment ladder?
So I was always like one of those people at school that like I never really knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was always quite envious of those people that were like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor or a dentist or what have you, because that had a pathway, right? So you could just follow that pathway to said job. I never really knew what I wanted to do. So I decided to just do a business course in London, a degree. And then I got a job at News International, which is News UK now. So I'm going to show my
Mm.
age now, but this was back when newspapers used to be important.
Of course, yes. It's not that long ago.
So I used to, I was a business analyst for all the advertising revenue, and I just got really disillusioned with the corporate world quite quickly. I was there when they closed the News of the World with the phone hacking scandal.
Wow.
So like 300 people lost their job in one afternoon. And I thought, like, you think you're valuable, but in a company like that, you're just a number, right?
Indeed.
So at the same time, my dad had been saying to me that he wanted to retire. He was thinking about retirement. Did I want to come and take over the family business, which is the commercial building company? My brother had already been working with him for a couple of years. And I just thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go. If it's wrong, I'll change it, but let's try. And lucky for me, it's all worked out very well. And obviously, my brother and I, we were able to kind of bring the business, like modernize it,
Yep.
bring more clients on, develop it. So we grew the business in the first couple of years, and then dad finally retired just before COVID.
Okay.
So he found it quite hard to let go at first. And then when COVID hit, he was like, "Oh, this is brilliant." And then off he went on lots of holidays. Although we do still drag him out of retirement every now and then when it gets too busy. And we need an extra pair of hands. So that was how I became part of the building industry. And our commercial fit out company specializes in bars, pubs, hotels, and restaurants. So it's like fast paced refurbishment fit out.
Okay.
Also, didn't do very well in COVID
Yeah. Tough
because,
market that.
yeah, hospitality took a real nosedive. So we pivoted a little bit, and we've also got a separate residential division now. And we focus on like high net worth individuals that want a build company that provides a complete turnkey solution. So from start to finish, working with their architects, working with their designers, the best customer service, the best possible quality, just because when we can't really compete with Joe Blogg's extension, right? Because there's too many of those types of builders. And in the commercial landscape, you already have to provide that extra amount of service anyway. So it felt like a good fit for us just to do that. So between the two now, the landscape's a lot better. And then the investment side of things, a bit like your dad, Laura, you were telling me about your dad's investments.
Yes.
My dad always invested in property as a side hustle.
Okay.
And so 8 years ago, when me and my brother obviously were making some money in the building company, we decided to invest the profits and start our own portfolio. And so we've been doing that for 8 years now.
Nice.
I really, really enjoy that. I really enjoy the transformation of, we do a lot of, I'm sure you like the buy, refurbish, refinance model.
Yes.
So we take the house that's absolutely hanging and we refurbish it and bring it back to life. So that's good fun. And now I love it so much that I'm helping other people who want to start investing as well. So I give them a bit of like a one-to-one mentorship coaching for anyone that wants a bit of hand holding in their investment goals.
Amazing. Wow, a lot to unpick there.
Whistle stop tour.
Brilliant. I love it. So, sticking on the family business, the commercial construction, how did you initially find the workforce to complete the jobs that you now take on or have taken on with that?
Yeah, so we luckily enough, as well as inheriting the business, inheriting dad's subbies as well. So
Okay.
we've had teams of subbies that have been working with the business for like 30 plus years.
Wow.
And so because we've been able to give them continuous business, we're good payers, all of that sort of
All the
thing.
good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they've stuck by us. They know what we expect. We give them repeat business. So we're quite, I say lucky, but actually we all work really hard. And, when somebody hasn't delivered, you just can't use them again. You can't risk your business, can you really? But
No.
yeah, so I was quite lucky in that respect. Although we have had a little bit of a flux of retirees. So,
Have
like there
you?
was so actually decorators, Laura, quite a
Yep.
few of Dad's old chums have now retired. And we've had to go and find some more businesses. One is a female only. They're called
Come on.
Gloucestershire Gloss Decorating
Amazing.
Company. Yeah, they're brilliant. All the girls there. So there is I started 14 years ago, and it is obviously it looks much different now.
Yeah.
But back then, I pretty much took on all of the existing contacts, and then as time's going by, we're having to find new ones where we need to.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's definitely a time where a lot of the older tradespeople are
Mm,
stepping back,
yeah,
and an influx of youngsters or even people taking a redirection in their career path are coming in. So it's fantastic that you've brought on board a female decorating
yes,
company. That was
yeah.
gonna be my next question.
I mean, there's not enough. Like, we're not lucky enough to have like any electrical or plumbing female only companies just yet. I know there's a few like one woman bands, but we need like a team for
I
what
was
we
gonna
do.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
there are
So,
a lot of singular sole traders when it comes
yeah,
to us females as opposed to team workers, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can appreciate that. So, moving on to your other construction company, you say residential driven.
Yeah, so it's a division that we run like under the Index banner, and it's called Melora Excellence in Renovations,
Ah.
because it's me, my brother, and my sister that all work together now. And my dad's Italian, so when we were developing this business, we were like, right, we're going to brand it. We're going to go and create this new business name, and then we realised that we've actually created a name that's quite hard to pronounce and spell and all of that. But in Latin, it means in the pursuit of better. So,
Nice. I was gonna ask you how do you pronounce it, so I
yeah,
love that. I was wondering if there was a hint of Italian in there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
mate.
when we went to the branding team, they were like, "Oh, we really like your surname," and I was like, I'm not going to pay £9,000 to walk out of here with my surname." But on the branding template, they'd put all of these other Latin words, and when I saw it and I looked it up, I was like, "Right,
Oh,
that's the
nice.
one." Yeah,
Clever. Very good. So, obviously running, these businesses, you've mentioned you've got 3 now.
yeah.
What's the hardest part of running your own business, would you say?
I think it's the spinning plates, isn't it, Laura? It's like and making sure you don't drop one. I mean, I am lucky that I'm not on my own because my brother's essentially a construction manager. So the site based stuff, he's in control of the guys and the subby teams on site. And
Okay.
then I've got my sister in the office who runs the office. We've also got some part time admin, and the girls are booking in the jobs, programming it all, ordering materials. So I'm lucky in the respect that I can kind of focus on getting the business,
Yeah.
client development, and that side of things, winning the business, and then obviously I've got a team that help me then deliver it. So we're quite lucky in that regard that there's enough of us to kind of spread the workload around. But you know, we often joke that when it gets really busy, because your mind gets so full, doesn't it?
It really does.
That it can be quite stressful to because you know that like I think if I forget to order something or if I forget to book someone in, like it could really, ruin a job and make the guys' jobs on site like much more difficult. So I think it's that constant like, have I remembered everything? Like, is everything programmed in? That sort of thing.
Yeah. And I feel like it's different when it's your own business. You're not just thinking about making sure all the boxes are ticked. It's also making sure that you deliver it in the, the correct way to the client,
Yeah.
to the customer,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because it's all reputation based, and you want to
Yeah.
keep that level of clientele, don't you?
absolutely. Sometimes, you like hear horror stories of other like building companies, and I think I don't understand how they get more business
I
because
know.
I feel like if we did a bad job, it would ruin our reputation because it's
Yeah.
such a small, like Gloucestershire's quite a small area. And although the commercial side, we kind of go across the southwest, there's also quite a small industry in itself. Project managers move within different breweries and different companies. So I just think you just can't risk it.
No. No, I agree, definitely. I think it's yeah, when you dig down into the workforce as well, it's the same when it comes to, the hands-on trades. If you do a bad job, then, you would think that you wouldn't get any more work, but you're still here, and I follow on from jobs, and you
Yeah.
think, "How did that person get away with leaving that like that?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we get it all the
So,
time. We
yeah.
went to do like a small repair last week, even though we were like crazy busy at a hotel because they were like fully booked. And it was just to replace a shower screen, but where whoever did put the shower screen on, the fixture for the screen,
Yep.
they hadn't fixed it into the tiles, they glued it. So when they took it off, it took the tiles away with it. So like a 2-minute
No.
job has now turned into like a full tile repair job, and
Yeah.
you've got to find the tiles and like, all of that. So but you think like I don't know who did that. We won't ever know, but now we've got to fix it. So it's a
Yeah.
bit annoying, yeah.
Goodness me. What a thing. What a thing. Wow. So, obviously, you run your businesses with your brother and your sister. How do you find being a female in such an industry? Because you're crossing two industries here, both the
Mm,
construction side and the property side.
yeah.
How do you find being a female within those circles?
It's definitely changed. I remember, like, back in the day when I would go to a site meeting, say, with a brewery, so say with, like, Green King or Heineken, and
Yep.
they're all guys, right? They're all of a certain age,
Yep.
and there was very I always remember feeling, like, not nervous, but maybe, like, anxious to say the wrong thing because if you get something wrong, it's like, "Oh, it's because she's a woman," you know? So you're always, like, trying to prove yourself that much more, but then the proof was sort of in the pudding, so as we delivered jobs and they were good and they would learn that you knew what you were talking about and that you could perform. But it's kind of flipped a little bit now because now we get clients coming to us that are like, "We want." So I had a meeting with a designer last week, she was like, "We want to work with you because you're female-led." So I was like,
Nice.
"Oh, that's nice." Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's kind of now become it's a bit of a USP, and I think, like, on the residential side especially, it really helps clients trust you,
Okay.
or we find that, like I mean, this is a massive generalization, but I'll say it anyway. Perhaps traditionally, if you had a builder come to your house, it might be an older gentleman and perhaps the wife might not feel like comfortable enough to ask a question in case she asked a stupid question. Whereas they get me, possibly my sister come along, we sit down, we have a cup of tea. Like it's very easy to build rapport quite quickly and
Yeah.
trust as a woman, I think. So it does have its plus side these days. But um, it has changed a lot. And I think it's generally as well, like a long time ago, if you'd have walked onto a building site, you maybe would have had some men that made you feel uncomfortable. That's just not socially acceptable anymore,
No.
wherever you go, in whatever atmosphere, right? And so
Correct.
now that that doesn't happen at all because it's frowned upon, it's even like it's not really even a
A
thing
thing.
anymore, you know? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, which
yeah.
which is good.
Definitely. I mean, I speak to women both sides of the coin when it comes to site work and residential work, and yeah, there's been mixed comments on how they get treated in both scenarios. You see, by both men and women. So you know, it's a topic that is spoken about as is it a stigma kind of thing, like a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
But is it still a thing is the question
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
and
Although, I mean, I do wonder if, like site banter and stuff, like I imagine maybe if I was a female working on site, I
Mm.
imagine that might be a different scenario. Whereas I'm just coming in like site meetings, like in and out. I'm not there day to day. I don't know. I'd like to think not,
Mm.
but it's definitely changing for the better.
Definitely, definitely. And you obviously mentioned that you now do some coaching in the property world.
Yes, yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that, because that is super interesting.
Yeah, so so I used to obviously have people be like, "Can you help me do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, help you with your investment." And then someone one day was like, "You really should charge people." And I was like, "Oh yeah." Because we've got all this experience and and because I find it really rewarding, like helping someone because, you know, the extra income like really can change people's lives.
Yeah,
And also for me, like with the kids, it's a massive like peace of mind thing because as much as I love working and going to work, if something happens to me or if I fall ill, I've got income coming from the rental side. So it's a massive like peace of mind thing for me.
yeah.
Um and it's helping people, and with that sort of thing. Like I had one client whose wife got breast cancer and it was such a sad situation as well because her brother also died. He had this accessible bungalow. They were going to sell it. And I was like, just rent it out as an accessible bungalow for care.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think they get like, it's like a one bed bungalow. I think they're getting like £1,400 in rent.
Goodness
And
me.
now they're going to refinance it so they can buy their own like Airbnb, which they can holiday in and also rent. So it's that kind of like that when shit hits the fan in life, you can help people with property to like really provide some much needed peace of mind at times like that.
Would you say that obviously a lot of us tradies are self-employed, and would you say that property is a good choice for self-employed people in the trades to have in the background? Because obviously one of the major things we struggle with is we don't get sick pay.
I know. I know. Yeah. So if you don't show up for work, I talk about this all the time. It's like that active income thing, right? And I just mentioned it like if I don't go to work, you don't get paid. If you don't go into work, you don't get paid. Whereas property will pay you whether you're on holiday or you're sat in your living room. That income's
That's
coming
it.
no matter what. And I think the good thing about business owners and people that have got their own business is they've got a business mindset
Yeah,
and you need to think about property investing as a business. And
definitely.
so they've already got all of that expertise and knowledge then of running their own business that they can apply to property. So I think it's a win-win really. And everyone can bring their own, like I call it like superpower. Like obviously yours is decorating and you must be multi-trade because you've obviously mentioned about doing your own houses up.
I have touched on a few bits and bobs.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's your superpower. Maybe somebody else is like I work with a lady who's an interior designer. So obviously when she gets to the finishes and the dressing, like that's her
Yeah.
superpower. So everybody's got their own little bit that they can bring to it. And so I know I'm biased, but I just think it's like it's a win-win for me because say you've built some money up in your business, you've worked really hard, and you've got this chunk of profits, and you want to invest it. If you go and stick 50K in stocks and shares, that 50K is 50K. If
Yeah,
you go and put that on a buy to let mortgage, you can obtain an asset 4 times greater with that 50K and benefit from the value of it being 4 times greater, right?
yeah.
But then at the same time, it also pays you passive income. And it goes up in value over time. So for me, I'm just like, don't get me wrong, I do have like some stocks and shares and I have a pension. I think it's important to have, you know,
A
your finger in other
variation.
pies.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah. But for me, hands down, like investing in property, I think is just a win-win.
definitely. I'm a little bit biased as well because
Yeah, because you enjoy it too.
I enjoy it too. I've got a couple on the books, and yeah, being a sole trader and then juggling renovations, it is hard to do the two and make sure that you're not doing too much.
Yeah,
But the process from buying to renovation and then renting out at the end, it's yeah, I would advise anybody to try it, but make sure you do your research first, right? You
that's
don't
it.
wanna
Yeah,
go
get your
in.
spreadsheets out. Yeah,
Yeah. Do your
Because then
numbers.
this is what I mean. Like, God, people say like property investment's dead. It's not. It's just the days of just going and buying a 2 and a 3 bed and sticking someone in it and hoping for the best is gone. You just need to think about it, do your research, treat it like a business, not just hope that it works out. Do your research and do it properly. But then, Laura, you'll know that like once you have okay, the renovation process can be difficult, but once it's rented out, okay, you might have the odd, email from a managing agent to say a window needs fixing or something, but
Yeah,
99% of the time it's passive, right? And then you can let it do its thing.
yeah.
So
All of a sudden a year's gone by and you've not heard a peep out of the
yeah.
tenants,
Yeah.
unless
Because you
they've
did it so well.
this is it. Unless they need like the gas certificate doing but again, if you've got a management company, they'll
Yeah.
knock an email to you, say this needs doing.
This is due. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's it.
yeah, definitely. If anybody listening wants to get into property, make sure you do your research. Reach out to someone like Melissa, even.
Yeah. Because education is just fast tracking success, right? If like educate yourself and work with someone that's done it before, then you're gonna avoid the pitfalls.
Definitely, definitely. So, just touching back on the construction companies that you've got, off the top of your head, can you think of a particular renovation job that you have thought, "Wow, we've done a blinder here"?
So we did build a spa. We built a spa pavilion in Cirencester at Stratton House Hotel. I mean, I say we. I was actually I think I had a I think we started in the January and I had Frank at the end of the January. So I was actually yeah, that was it. It was the time when I can remember pairing, booking it in. I was pregnant with Frank. I was homeschooling my other little boy because it was COVID, massively pregnant, and we were trying to book all this stuff in for the spa to start in January. Obviously, it's a terrible time to build as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
We started on site, but because it was COVID, people weren't coming out to site, and like, oh, it was considering it was like quite a bad time for building. We pulled a blinder there to have pulled that off, I think, and I think the guys did it in something stupid like 5 months. I think it was open within 6 months.
wow,
Award-winning spa, yeah. So yeah, so my brother did a phenomenal job there, really.
amazing. And what was that called again?
It's, Stratton House Hotel,
Okay, so
the
anybody
garden spa. Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
looking for a spa day, go and
yeah.
check it out.
Yeah. Jacuzzi and hot tub, and I think he's on about next year, he wants to extend it now and do like a cold plunge pool thing, and yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fancy. Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. With you having the 3 companies and now starting your coaching, do you find that social media plays a big part in getting the word out there and promoting your
Yeah.
businesses, etc.?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Index, the commercial one, is a bit of a niche, right? So
Mm,
that's more of just a showcase. So we use our socials like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, just as a showcase of like, this is what our business does and a bit of like brand awareness. Because at the end of the day, unless you're a project manager of a hotel or a pub company, you're not really going to be interested in us. Whereas the residential division is a much bigger sell.
yep.
So obviously we invest a lot more in like video and professional photos on that side of thing, because I think people need to look you up and look at what you're doing
Yeah.
to trust you and believe that you can deliver the quality of finish that you're saying that you can. So we do invest quite a bit of money on that side of things. And then MJP, the property side, again, it's like a bit of a showcase. And then I guess with the coaching, it's social proof for me, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
I can teach you how to do this because I can show you I've done XYZ. So people, because there are a lot of coaches out there these days that maybe
There are.
haven't actually put the boots on, but they say they're a coach, whereas, it's social proof, isn't it? When you can share what you're doing and
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with the coaching, what could people expect if they come to you for some help and say, I dropped you an email and said, I want to get into property.
mm.
Can you help me?
So I'm more of like a mentor. So I think there's a lot of courses out there that kind of like a one size fits all because it's like an online platform. Whereas I believe that everybody's investment appetite, risk, strategy is quite personal
Yeah.
because Laura, you might be like, right, I want to do 5 HMOs because I want to generate 50K in 5 years. So that's a particular strategy. But then somebody else might come along and they just want it to be a retirement piece. And they're quite happy for them to just be vanilla buy to lets and they're going to buy one every 2 years. So those two people are completely different. And you
Yeah.
can't really have one online course that's going to help those two people because their vision and goals are completely different. So I'm more of a mentor where I sit down with them. We work out what your investment goals are and the timeline, and then we match the strategy to that.
Okay.
And then I go along with them then, like, teach them about the strategy, buy the property, introduce them to my power team because that's also really important. I've obviously been through lots of good and bad people along the way, and so now you get, like, my mortgage broker, my accountant, all of the
Wow.
people that I trust, you get connected with them, and so it is quite a hand-holding piece. But sometimes I think, like, people just need, like, with property, it is a big investment.
Yeah.
I get it. And sometimes people, like, everyone wants to invest in property, but they're like, but I'm going to do this first, or I just need to do this before I do it. Sometimes you just need me going, you've got this, you've done the research, here's your spreadsheet, here's the numbers. And I just give you that little push on WhatsApp. Come on, have you put the offer it, it's that accountability piece that just like gives people the confidence to go for it.
Definitely. Is there any big events or projects on the horizon that you want to or can share with us?
Well, I'll give you a quick rundown of what we're doing at the minute. So, Malora, the residential building company, is on a big project in Oxford called Manor Farm.
Okay.
We're in phase one of that. It's beautiful, multi-million pound Manor Farm, which has been empty for like 2 years, I want to say, which blows my mind. I don't understand how people have these properties just sat there.
No.
But the client lives in Frankfurt, so we're split. We've extended one of the dwellings, splitting it into two, and then phase two will be the cottages, so developing them. So
Ooh,
at the end, it'll just be like multi-generational living on the site in
okay.
Oxford. Yeah, so that's a lovely project to be on. Index, the commercial fit out, is at a hotel called Tewkesbury Park, and
Okay.
we're just doing some of the hotel bedrooms, so a fit out job there. We're also doing a dog groomers in Cheltenham, which will be
Cool.
called So Fetch. And then we've got a couple of other little smaller projects that we're doing for Stonegate, which are kind of like creating these sort of oldie worldy, like outdoor drinking sheds, I guess you'd call them. And also doing another like external drinking area there in Theale and Reading. And then we've got some other projects now that we're hoping to book in for the new year. One's a care home to residential conversion. And we're also looking at a hotel like block development for Heartstone Inns. So there's loads
Ah.
going on at the minute. That's what I mean. Like my brain's like, oh my God.
Wow, very exciting stuff though. Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
is. It
brilliant.
is.
So, is there anything that you would like to speak about that I've not touched on yet?
Maybe we should talk about how we can get more girls into like thinking about working in the industry because I feel like construction and property is like so well suited to women because you've got to be like organized, you've got to be quite analytical sometimes, like with the numbers and everything. But I guess like I never really saw it as a career path for myself because I didn't see any other women doing it. So it's like trying to make sure that like younger girls can see women in these positions so that they can think about that as a career path for themselves.
Most definitely.
Just trying to get out there and like promote what you do as much as possible. And I do like quite a few like talks and like panel discussions and stuff. And I want to try and get into a school if I can,
Oh,
just
wow.
to say like, well, this is what I do, and I am a
Yeah.
woman, but just so that they can see you, because I think that will change things.
Change the mindset, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I always compare it to the lionesses, the footballers, you know,
yes,
until like if you can't see it, it's hard for you to imagine that you can be it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
whole thing, and I guess it's the same with little boys and footballers, etc., but they're everywhere, you know? But for us women, we also need those inspirational figures to look at
Yeah.
and think, "Actually, I quite like what
I
she
can do
does
that.
there. I've got some of those skills and I can develop the rest of them," you know? And I think that's where part of my want to do the podcast came in, is because to share the start to current journeys of all these amazing women in the construction industry, on the tools, off the tools, behind the scenes, etc. If that can get out there, and or mums can share it with their daughters, oh, listen to this person, you know,
Yeah.
it just opens a whole new world for women and girls coming into
Agreed.
their own, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. So, yeah, we've just all got I think we've all got a little bit of a job and a responsibility to just try and, promote what we're doing to the younger generation just to see. I mean, we did do, so we've got our apprentice, Harry, he's brilliant, but we did go to the local college's apprenticeship, like, evening last year, and
Mm.
there were a few girls that came up that, were doing their carpentry course
Oh
and,
wow.
yeah, yeah, and I was, like, buzzing, like, I was like, "Oh, this is," there was only a handful,
Yeah,
but the fact that they were there, I was like, "Okay, alright, this is good," you know?
definitely. Oh, that's great. And one thing that sticks in my head about property is when you're kind of uneducated about it, you don't know, and you think, well, I know a house isn't just a couple of £100.
Yes.
Is it right that you have to have tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds in the bank to get into property?
Well, this is a tricky one to answer because there are a lot of gurus in that out there that will say you don't need any money to invest in property, and there are some strategies you can do where you don't need that,
Yeah,
option agreements and that sort of thing. They're quite complicated, whereas I much prefer. I mean, and or you could work with investors. There's a couple of people I've worked with that maybe have other family members that have got some savings,
yeah,
and then they've all worked together. So they've got the education, the family members have put the savings in, and then they've used that money then to go and invest in property. But I believe that it's already difficult enough without starting from zero is really hard because if you've not invested in property, you need to go and, get an investor that doesn't know you from Adam.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
really tough sell, right? I've not done it before, but I think I can do it. Can you give me 50K? It's quite a hard sell. So, I tend to work with people that have got some savings.
Okay.
It's normally, cash that they've built up through their business. They've worked really hard. They've got this surplus cash. They don't want to just invest it back into the business. They want to put it somewhere else. Um, so I said yes and no because there are strategies where you don't need money, but I think that it is obviously easier if you can start with some money in your
Yeah,
pocket and maybe, the second or third project you're working with investors because by then you've got proof, you've got a couple of projects you can showcase. I've done this, do you want to come on board? They get some interest, then it gets much easier.
yeah. It
But to
snowballs,
start
doesn't it?
off with,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And even with option agreements, with an option agreement, you're going to go, it works a lot with like maybe like older landlords that are trying to sell off portfolios. So you could go and proposition them that, you buy it in 5 years' time, but then you still then don't own that property for 5 years. So, there are ways of doing it, but I like to do it the good old fashioned way.
no, that's fair enough. No, there's nothing wrong with that. If it works, it
Yeah.
works, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. Amazing. Okay. All brilliant information there on yeah, getting into property. It's great. It's a great angle to have on the show and how it blends in
Yeah.
with us tradies. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
because it is a side. I always say like it is totally possible. I've got 3 children. I run 2 businesses, and I invest in property. Like if you do it the right way, it is totally possible to run it as a side hustle.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. And we've come to the point where I like to do a quick fire question round if you're up
Oh,
for it.
okay. Let's go for it.
Cool. So start off with an easy one. Tea or
Mm.
coffee?
Oh, coffee. I'm obsessed with I've got a really bad coffee addiction. Like so bad that the beginning of my day is dictated by getting a coffee. It's really bad.
I was gonna say, it's kind of a silly question because you've got some Italian in you, so,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I
yeah,
yeah. And if you were gonna ask me Costa or Starbucks, it'd be Starbucks.
me too, me too.
Better coffee, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Bathroom transformation or a kitchen transformation?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say kitchen because I think kitchen is the heart of the home. Bathrooms are nice, don't get me wrong, I love a good bathroom, but you're gonna spend a lot more time in your kitchen. So, kitchen.
Fair play. A fancy meal out or a cozy night in?
Fancy night out just because I don't get many of them these days. Me and my husband don't get many fancy nights out these days because 'cause we've got too many kids. So, yeah, no, fancy night out.
Nice, nice. A bridging loan or private investor?
Oh, private investor only because a bridging loan, the fees and the interest would be much more expensive than the interest you'd pay to a private investor. So if you've got private investment, always go for that rather than a bridging loan.
Cool. And driver or passenger?
Oh, driver, I think. I
Yeah.
think driver, yeah. Yeah. Although my husband never lets me drive if we're in the car together, but I think I'm always like my foot's always go like if I'm in the passenger, I'm always like, slow down. So no, I do, yeah, driver.
And serviced accommodation or a HMO?
Oh, there's so many pros and cons to I love service accommodation because I love the dressing and the finished product. I don't like the fluctuation in the income
Mhm.
because HMOs, you got a flat income every month, right? You know what you've got, but you have got the licensing. Oh, that's a tricky one.
Mhm.
I'd say HMO when you start off
Yeah,
because it's good cash flow and it's steady,
yeah.
and then more service accommodation as you get more experience because you can afford then for the fluctuations in the income.
Nice. Yeah. I like that one. Brilliant.
Good.
And a beach holiday or long weekend away?
Beach holiday,
Oh, yeah.
100%. And you?
Same. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean I mean,
You're saying long weekend?
I'd take either at the moment. Just get me out of this
Yeah,
cold, you
something,
know?
anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, beach holiday would be lovely.
Yes, please. Awesome. Well, I've come to the part at the end of the show where I like to ask same 3 questions to everybody.
Okay.
Obviously, with you not being on the tools, we're gonna tweak it ever so slightly. So, if you could be a qualified tradie on the tools, what would you choose? Why?
Or a chippy all day long because I always admire, like, how satisfying must it be to, like, make something and then, like, at the end of the day, look at that and be like, "I built that."
Yeah.
Like, I'd be a chippy if I had my time again.
Again, I'll say it, it's the most
Yeah.
popular, it's the most
Is it
popular,
really?
it
Is it?
really is. Even myself, I would choose that too. We've had some amazing carpenters and joiners on the show so far, so it's definitely a popular one. My next question is, what trade would you like
Mm.
to see on the show next?
Ooh, I'm trying to think of something that's, like, maybe not as have you had a plasterer on?
Not yet, actually, no.
Hmm. If there's anyone, like, doing, because you do all these posh plaster finishes as well now these days.
Yeah, the Venetian stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I wonder if you could find a female plasterer.
Hmm, I will
Mm.
have a look. Yes, brilliant. Okay, so Melissa, where can people find you on social media and the internet?
Well, as there's a few businesses, there's quite a few.
Yeah,
They've all got funny spellings. So Index is INNDECS, and we're just index.com and at Index on our socials. Melora is Meliora, Excellence in Renovations. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and our website is melorarenovations.co.uk. And then MJP at MJP on Instagram, mjphomesLTD.co.uk, or you can just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I've got all of the businesses on there. So I'm just Melissa Potente, Potente, on LinkedIn for anybody that wants to connect there.
Awesome. Well, for anybody that didn't get that, I'm going to make sure that they'll all be in the show notes for anyone listening that wants to go and check Melissa out and all the work that they're doing across the board. And again, don't forget to reach out if you're interested in getting into property. I'm sure Melissa will be happy to speak to any of you and
Always happy to help.
moving forward with that. Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much, Melissa. It's
Thanks
been
so much.
yeah, really enjoyable to speak to somebody that does the kind of two sides of what I'm into, the trades and property. So thank you
Good.
very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you.